So in our next episode, we have our new guest who is worked as a senior in the senior management in the Tata Group, who is going to talk about new initiatives, green companies, as well as how automotive market is growing and how OEMs are looking after the from the vendors. So I welcome Mr. Keshav Tamankar to the Plastic Pulse. Keshav sir, first introduce yourself to us, how you started your journey.
Sure. So thank you for inviting me. See, I am basically a mechanical engineer, and I did my mechanical engineering from Walchand College. Then I studied in IIT also in Mumbai. And then after coming out of IIT, I had been into automotive industry for last 40 years. So I was in Tata Group for 13 years. I was in Magna Steyr. I was in Bajaj. I work in Boeing, Seattle. I work in Ford Motor Company, Detroit. And for last 10 years, I've been largely involved into consulting, basically, and that too in global sourcing and engineering, particularly supporting local suppliers here in India. And we are developing certain customers in US and Europe, for which we are developing suppliers here.
Okay.
So that is what I've been doing for the last 10 years. And besides, I'm involved into a lot of green initiatives, of course through Rotary. And then for the last 3 years, we are consistently doing some work, particularly in terms of education and awareness, and also promoting the green culture within industries and housing societies. So that is where all this green and automotive is getting combined.
Going forward, Pune is a hub for automotive. So what are the basic opportunities? What OEMs are looking for the vendors? Like vendors, are they looking for the scale, or are they looking for the systems, quality systems? What expectation actually OEM does? Because many new SMEs are coming and they are thinking about doing good systems or showing scalable. They are thinking about big scale, but really the automotive industry is looking for scale or for good products.
I think that's a good question, but that is not only applicable to automotive. Of course, it is applicable to automotive, but as a whole, the industry, if you look at today, now one side there is a lot of demand which industry is seeing. On other side, there is always a scarcity of resources, which is industry also facing. So what industry is trying to do is they are trying to identify good suppliers and trying to outsource most of the work to them. So that train was there earlier also, but now the train is growing, and that is one reason is suppliers also are increasing their competency. So there are very good suppliers who can support OEMs right now. So, but the supplier has to reach a certain level. So when we talk of tier 1, tier 2 supplier, in terms of expectations from the customers, end customers, are very high. So if you look at any automotive car or any automotive product today, what is happening is they are completely high-end technologies are used in those automotive products. Now, what is difference between a company A and company B? Particularly, say, look at the car. A company A introduce a particular model in a month, maybe another 3 months. All the technology which A has used has already been adopted in B also. So there is not much of a difference in car. If you pick any car today or any automotive vehicle, there is only a time differential. Maybe it's a matter of 3 months, 4 months, 6 months. You will have same thing exactly coming to the other car. So there is not much of a difference between the model. So the important aspect for the OEM is to create differential. So where their plus point are, where they can able to sell. So if as a OEM, my vehicle is plus side or has got a certain USP, I would say. Couple of USP are there, then only I can get a market breakthrough. I can increase my market volume, market scale. But I know that somebody is going to do exactly same down the line for maybe in 6 months' time. So first in the market has always a advantage. So that is the first part in terms of this. So how do we do that? So OEMs are trying to look for technologies and introducing those technologies. Now this differential will come through innovation. And that's why everybody today is talking of innovation. So innovation is typically you have certain ideas, you try to develop that idea, then develop application and introduce it. That's the way typically innovation works on this. So you have to have a differential creation and supported by completely the innovation. Then you will have edge. Now OEMs are also looking for supplier to do same thing nowadays. So they also want supplier to look for alternatives. They also look for some technology adaptations, everything. So supplier's responsibility over the period of time is going up every day. And then of course quality of supplier is given. Nowadays if you don't have quality, nobody is going to accept. So quality is given. So what supplier has got additional requirement or additional expectation from OEM side is they should bring new ideas. They should bring new innovation. And they should adapt the technology also faster. So that is the new expectations are coming up. Quality, production, timing or attentiveness, quality is given. So that has to happen. But if I want to select a supplier particularly, I will also look for this differentiator between two suppliers. And then of course, there are certain other reasons in terms of how it responds to OEM's expectations, in terms of timing. Suppose there is a crunch of time and there is a need of certain things, how he responds, how fast he does. All those things comes in a picture. So this is where the OEMs are looking for today.
And how to differentiate actually? Means if we many people are into molding currently, but they don't know how to differentiate themselves as a vendor कि मैं ये अलग कर रहा हूँ. तो वैसे क्या इनिशिएटिव हो सकते हैं?
No, typically if you ask me about the automotive, there is always been a stress on value engineering. So cost reduction is one part, and also weight reduction. These two things are being always talked in automotive industry. So technology is there, and beside technology, these two things are always been looked into. So try to reduce my cost over the period of time, keeping quality same, and giving more than expectations to customers. So that is where the industry is coming from. And this could be applicable to any other industry. So as a molder or as a supplier, first thing, look for scale, which is very important. Whatever the capital investment you do, you can able to support it, OEMs or your customers, by increasing the scale. So capacity utilization is the major thing for any molding shop point of view. Then turnover time also, which is also important many places. So that look into that also, turnover time in terms of changing one product to another product. Second thing, nowadays everybody is looking for recycled part. So there is a lot of buzz going on about the recycling, how much recycle atom should be used and all those things in the particular plastic. So of course, keeping OEM in the confidence, he has to look into how much he can do it, what quality of recycled plastic he can use it. So that's another area supplier should look into. And of course, quality is there. First time right when you call, it should be there. Responsive time to the OEMs, all those are there. And technology, I think molds also is getting changed in terms of Earlier we have seen in old days only one cavity mold, or multiple cavity molds are there. Now cooling new machines are coming up, and all accessories and accessorying processes are being getting changed. So obviously the technology adaptation has to happen. New materials are being developed right now. So maybe supplier has to look into new material, but supplier has to take his first step. He himself has to take first steps, rather than waiting for somebody is telling that no, try to do this something or try this way. I think he should do by his own some study, some research, and come with some solutions. And he goes and show it to OEM. OEM will be very happy. I mean, that type of suppliers who is a proactive, OEM always like. So that is one thing supplier has to keep in mind there. And when you go to export, that will be very useful.
Okay. Yeah, about export now. You are also consulting many clients for establishing new market in overseas.
Correct.
So how a SME or how a person should find the clients and how to start exports?
This is a very tricky question, because one side, as everybody knows, now there is a lot of tariff war is going on between US and India, or US and other countries. Nobody knows what level of tariffs US administration going to impose in India and other countries. So there will be big change happening in the export market or of such countries. You pick India or any other countries for that matter, because those guys who are dependent on US for export, they will have larger impact on this. Now, when you look at the export, always look at the landed price in that country. Suppose I am sending components from here, so it will not make sense what is my cost in my works particularly. So how it is compared is, typically I have seen that it is a landed cost, particularly to the factory of your customer.
Okay.
So then it adds to your ex-works price getting added to all your local logistics, taxes, shipping, their inwards taxes, and plus further transport to the factory of your customer. So you have to understand the entire cost chain and look into whether as an export we are giving a good value to customer or not. If that difference between their local buying cost and our cost, including all this cost chain, if there is hardly a 3-4% of difference, customer may not be interested to buy from you, for anybody for that matter. So he always look for a bigger differential, particularly when he look at India as a low-cost country. So always his expectations are basically you bring some cost differential. And if that cost differential is not very attractive, he is not going to give order. That is what I have seen so far. Again, here, time delivery. So QCD, when we talk of, so quality is given. So unless you create a quality, you will not think of. Cost, as I said, you need a differential. Delivery, on-time delivery is also important. Again, there is a delay always happens. So you have to understand that sending parts from within India or from within Maharashtra per se may be very manageable, or where we can control. But there are certain factors which you don't control. For example, getting ship, or your container loading on a particular day in a ship, which is difficult to control for a supplier. So keep mind all these delays also, and think of what could be the delivery time from here to a particular country. But you have to get customer in confidence before you talk of, or before you plan something here, particularly on delivery, which is very crucial, as I said. So one has to create a cost differential. The cost differential, how you can do it? I mean, material, maybe there are small changes or little changes in terms of material cost, but by and large, except certain countries where government is subsidizing material, most of the material costs are more or less same, many places now. Then Labor, of course, India has got advantage where labor is cheaper and then we can do that. Overheads, further India has got advantage compared to other countries. So where we can really do, create a cost differential particularly. So that is where the first thing in terms of export one has to look at. Now, if I look at 10 products, we are 10 products given by a customer to me for exploring the potential in India. Looking at the cost differential, looking at the packaging, and looking at the delivery time, one may find that all 5-6 parts are not feasible at all. So it always happens like this. So because some parts are going to weight is less but volume is more. So in terms of packaging, you will see that you cannot ship more number of parts. Obviously, the shipping cost will go up for those parts. But some part where you can put in smaller parts, you can just fill a container, which is possible. So some parts may get qualified in terms of creating a cost differential, and some part may not. So that one has to keep in mind, basically, while export. So all the parts cannot be exported in that purpose, I'm saying. Second thing, we have to get engaged with your overseas client, particularly in terms of processes or testing, because these customers may have their own testing standards. They have more any specific specification of particular. It could be material, it could be any process and all. So one has to get engaged with him and understanding what is expectation on those areas also. There is expectation on packaging also. For example, some of the packages components are, say there is a metal components, and if there is one has to wrap it to make it rust proof, because it goes on ship typically. So there is a expectation, or there is a requirement of certain packaging also. And every country may have their own regulation in terms of how material could be received. So what type of chemical processes to be done for packaging and all those things. So one has to look at that. So all these things we have to look into mind. Those things may add cost to your component cost. So again, I'm coming back to the same point. So such cost, when you add, you will see whether there's any cost benefit or not on this. Now, there is everybody is saying that the US is going to increase the tariff on China and all those things. If that happens tomorrow, then India, of course, has got a big differential, big advantage, I would say. US may impose certain tariff in India, but if there is a gap between China tariff and India tariff, we'll continue to have our own advantage. So, I'm talking to several customers now, and they are really looking at India as alternative today against what they are getting from China. But then we have to prepare ourselves for this opportunity. And in this opportunity, what happens? We have to start working on that. If we start today, maybe another couple of years, we should be able to start getting benefits of that. And then government is to support on certain areas, particularly. That will boost our export, particularly today, the area where China is doing today. So that is all the current scenario of export, I would say, there. I am talking largely on export which is being done generally. I'm not talking of export which is being done by captive companies. For example, overseas companies have got their own India operation and they are exporting. I'm not talking of that. I'm talking of a generic export. Any particular SME or supplier wants to get into export. So that point of view I'm talking. So in terms of export, as I said, opportunity is coming, or opportunity is there, and opportunity is going to grow. Now, supplier point of view, we have to prepare for that. Now, how one should look at? Typically, for last 10 years, I have been working in this global sourcing. What I am seeing is that there's a hesitance to get into export from supplier side. Now, I've seen people saying that वो एक्सपोर्ट हमको नहीं चाहिए, वो बहुत ज़्यादा तकलीफ रहती है उसमें.
अच्छा.
So that sort of a response I've seen from the supplier. So basically, export will give you the profit margin is very high in export compared to the Indian supply. So you can really balance between whatever the cost pressure there in India for your Indian customer and getting a good margin from the export
customer.
So those people have to understand that. So export, everybody should try for export.
Okay.
Now, what are the advantages? One, as I said, typically your margins are higher. Then many times exports, because of export pressure or requirement, you will get into processes. You will set up your processes in your companies. Your quality standard will also go up. Yeah. That is the bigger advantage which you can leverage to Indian customers at the same time.
All right.
So that is another advantage. Third advantage for export is skill development many times. So you need certain skills which says some exporter come and they check in your factory also. They talk to your workers.
Okay.
They ask certain training to them. So I've seen some companies where skill development also happen. So I said is that is one higher margin, then skill development, setting up of processes. That is also possible when you do the export, and where these things you can use it for your domestic customers and support them.
Now, many of the times the SME sector is confused between the genuine inquiry about the exports and fake inquiry. How to differentiate? How to get to know that this is a genuine inquiry, this is not the fake one?
No, I think this is a very important question, because everybody today,
or sorry to interrupt, but or either way, how to if a customer is genuine, if he is a big one and we want to approach to him, how we have to what kind of communication we have to make so that he should know that we are also genuine existed party, we are not the spam mails.
In terms of identifying customer or reaching customers for export, it's really difficult, because sitting in India, if I want to target a customer in US and Europe, it's very difficult, I'll tell you. So the best part is that you should have somebody in the same country which can represent you. That is the best part.
Okay.
So if you have somebody sitting like this in that country, the guy can go and then probably he will see the customer face to face, see maybe his offices, visit his office, visit his factory, and he'll find out whether he's really doing good work or is there any established or not, something like that. Other than that, you can look into their websites. Then there are chamber of commerces many times, or industry associations between two countries. That is another way to, you can approach through them. Their representative may help you, particularly in those countries. So there is always a visits happening between those countries, industry groups and Indian groups also. So be part of that also many times.
Okay.
Just to check that. Second thing, from supplier side, one should have his own website, which is a minimum thing is expected from the overseas customers. So your website is important there. And you can always showcase your credentials in terms of testimonials or your current customers' feedback. You can show it to your prospect, saying that this is what my current customers are talking about, and you can connect them. If required, there's a need, you can connect them also. So that also will generate your confidence between these two people. And of course, on the financial side, you have to ensure that you get advance and then follow the bank LCs and all those things process, and you see that you will not be at loss typically. So that one has to follow anyway there. The important part here one has to understand is there is no chance for any rejection. Don't leave any chance for rejection.
Okay.
This is very important for export, because if you send certain products or certain supply from here and then it gets rejected in the country there, many times they have to dispose that in that country. It's a cost of sending back will be very high. So many times they just dispose up there. So disposing will have a cost.
Okay.
Okay, and that supplier has to bear that cost many times. So, and if at all he sends you back, the cost of shipping back is also on the supplier side. So whatever the profit you are talking about, you'll get completely wiped out. So one has to be very careful in terms of rejection. In India, typically, I have seen some of the industries where industry are calling supplier and saying that these parts are defective. So supplier will come, pick those parts, go back, rectify and come back and supply it. That is a practice I have seen some of the industries.
Yeah.
Which is nobody can think of that such type of practice in exports.
Right.
So it's accepted or simply rejected. And rejected means complete loss. And rejection, a single rejection will create a credibility issue also, particularly. So next time when he think of any order, he will think twice to give this order. Because see, in his point of view, customer side also you see, he has not been to India sometimes or many times.
Right.
First thing he has heard something of India. He may not have a right picture of India in his mind. Second thing, he had not been to India. So obviously he has not visited. So he doesn't know who is the supplier, what is the industrial condition in here. Now somebody comes and say that I'll help you, I'll make production for you, and then he has to give order, and that too with the advance. So he also has got a lot of question in his mind, whether if I pay today, whether I'll see the products or not. Even if I see the products, whether they will be dispatched at right time or not. Even if they dispatch right time, finally when I open the packet, whether I am seeing what I have expected from the supplier or not. So there are a lot of things in his mind.
Right.
So all this thing will create a doubt in customer's mind. And so we have to be very clear in terms of be a transparent always with the customers. If there is a delay or if something happening in the production, just inform him that saying that this is a delay, this is a reason. What happens now, I have seen some of the places when he calls and we say, okay, I need a production or I need a supply delivery at this point of time, everybody will say, we'll do that. So, and then he is under impression that delivery will happen. Typically, supplier will call 2 days before and saying that there is some problem, I am not delivering. That is the extremely bad situation.
Right.
If you see a delay happening or if you see any problem happening, you have to first pick the phone and inform him. So he should be aware, because your parts may be getting fitted to some other parts, and then he may be delivering the product. So your delay will cause to his final delivery, or we don't know what is how the supply chain is further. And that's why his entire calculation gets disturbed. So if there is a delay and you inform him right time, he will at least look in some alternative and make the arrangement. But keeping quiet, sitting on order and without responding will be always a problem. And then I think we have to learn this basically. So engagement with the customers in a right way, timely engagement, be transparent, which is important particularly for this. Second thing, he will ask you whether you can able to do this or not. Certain products are there, certain processes are there. And he'll say, okay, you have to do 1, 2, 3, also follow this process. If you are not able to do or you are not sure that we will do it, say no, which is also important. our tendency is that everything, because for getting order, we'll say, yes, we'll do this, we'll do that. And we end up with, if we are not able to manage that, we are not able to confident about that, we don't have necessary skills, we don't have necessary processes, you will end up in rejection. So if you feel that this is not going to work, say no. Or you can check, ask him what could be alternative. Or you can also suggest them that this could be another way to do that. See, customers always like a supplier who will come with some proactive alternatives, even if he is not able to do it. So obviously you suggest then that if certain process is not being used, I can try this. We'll get the same results. And he is very open. He will always look into such things. So don't accept or don't say yes. Wherever you wanted to say no, but don't under pressure say yes, which is also important. Third thing is, if you are not clear, ask, which is very important. I mean, I have seen some of the places where foreigners are asking when somebody, not for India I'm saying, but certain foreigners were asking, if somebody says like this, does like this, whether it's yes or no, they're not sure.
Right.
So body gestures is also, don't use it. Typically, many people have got a tendency to do that. Say yes, no, straight away. Or point blank you ask questions and talk very clearly, transparently. That will help over the period of time by building confidence in your customers. And keep in mind, if you build that relationship with the customer, he will never go to any other supplier. That is what my experience so far. Once he say that this is a reliable supplier and his quality is good and delivery is right time, he will always come to you. You will be the first choice. If you say no, then he will look for somebody else.
Okay, and how the sustainability now export market is looking after in supplies?
A lot of work is going in on sustainability side, particularly in Europe right now.
Okay.
And those are agencies who are adopting all sustainable practices. They want their supplier also to get into sustainable way of working now.
Okay.
So they are promoting sustainable practices. Right now, if you ask, there is no, particularly in India, I would say there is no regulation saying that one should do sustainable activity by this way or comply to this. Now there is a ESG compliance, which is more of and E is a part of the environment there. So that government is asking for companies to report. So ESG compliance is now mandatory in India for top 1,000 companies, particularly in size-wise or
ESG
stock market.
means?
ESG means environment, social and governance.
Okay.
So there is some reporting, how you do it in your company, how you follow it in your company, and then these companies are expected to report yearly to government. And it is not mandatory now to everybody, only for top companies, top 1,000 companies in India. But everybody says that basically government is going to increase the span. So they may say tomorrow, next 2,000 companies, another 10,000, 5,000 companies. So it will come slowly, it will be applicable to most of the companies, most of the manufacturing sectors in India. Now, so many companies are thinking that today it is not applicable to me, but I think I should start working. This is a one part on the regulation side. But there is a lot of advantage which we have seen, particularly when you go for renewable energies, you go for water conservation, you go for recycling. Initially, one will feel that there is some cost involved. But it has been proved that over the period of time, maybe 7, 8 years, 10 years, there is a net saving, I would say. Besides cost part, we are supporting environment, which is another big thing, or which is one should be proud of by doing all this thing, because this There's always a scarcity of water, there's in electricity and all. So we are doing by ourselves, trying to reduce the dependency on such things.
Okay.
So that way, their sustainability is very important. I have seen many companies have started their own. There is a certifying agency also in India that has created a framework by which they give you certification, and one can say that I am gold certified company, or silver certified, or platinum certified company, something. So there are certain criteria, there is a scoring and all.
Okay.
So we are seeing that change. Many OEMs are already applied to the certification, or obtained the certifications, and they are pushing their tier 1 to do that. So slowly that will percolate, and maybe over next couple of years, India also will see a lot of green companies. So they will be ready before ASG comes and knock their door.
Right.
On this.
So you're doing currently some exhibit show with Rotary Club.
So we are doing Rotary Green Expo. This is a project which we have been doing for last 3 years.
3 years.
Roughly. So there are 3 parts of the project. One is a housing societies, then there is a MSME.
Okay.
These are 2 major parts, and we are creating, doing awareness and educating all these 2 segments by organizing meet where the experts will come. There is a group of society members, or there is a group of MSME members, where they talk of how they can go back. After going back, they can achieve energy conservation or do work on the water conservation. How do they manage the waste, and also use the plantation all. So this is more of a guiding lecture series which we are organizing, and we have done this for almost 10 to 12 such meets have been done so far. So that is the one part. Now, as an extension of this activity, we are organizing this Green Expo.
Okay.
Because Green Expo, we are expected that a lot of people will come and showcase their products and services, or maybe technologies also. So why only restrict to MSME or particular societies? It should be open to all. And we are also inviting certain green startups also, because they need certain exposure, they need platform to demonstrate their products. So they also use these opportunities. Yeah.
And how do you see the awareness or initiatives in the industry about the green?
Now, as I said, people are realizing there is a need, because there is a continuous pressure on the resources. So obviously, they know that there is a need, or they know that time has come to act on that. And particularly, and that's why they are looking for, but I will not say that they will do everything. Maybe they do in stages. Somebody will only work on the renewable energy, maybe, and after a few years he will work into water related saving activities or water conservation work. So it will happen, but it may happen in stages. And as I said, SMEs is the largest chunk of industries where this is very important. Because many companies, what has happened, particularly tier 1, tier 2, their customers are already pushing them that they should comply to certain sustainable practices. So they don't have choice. So they have done it. But if you go, and then tier 1 will push to tier 2 to comply, typically.
Right.
Main issue comes with the smaller companies who could be tier 3, tier 4, or tier 5 even. Because nobody is asking them. So there is no compulsion to them. And they know there is no benefits. So there is no incentive. So they don't have to they are not under pressure to do sustainable activities. So for them, motivation is very important. So all our efforts are organizing meets, and then having one-to-one discussion, bringing experts and talking experts on those certain areas, is to motivate these people, though maybe housing societies or MSME, so that they will get into this. Maybe again, as I said, step by step, may not happen in 1 year. So that is what we are trying to promote on this.
Okay. So, Keshav sir, thank you very much for being here and sharing a great knowledge about exports and green certification for a company, which will be the great new differentiator for the SMEs.
It's my
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Yes.
Thanks.